Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. PMDD partners, today I'm going to be teaching you about the seasons within your PMDD relationship. I really felt the need to do this episode because it has been really heavy, really heavy with your PMDD relationship. I know because a lot of times what I'm going through is what you're going through. We are one and the same. And I've been able to see through my private sessions with my private clients, there's been a lot of stress and overwhelm and frustration and hurt and pain. And a lot of it has to do with the consistency of the pain, meaning you're consistently arguing, you're consistently fighting, you're not on the same page every single month. It's like again and again and again, you're expecting it, and it is showing up as you expected. It is horrible. And you almost dread going into PMDD because every single time you're dealing with that stress, you're dealing with that overwhelm, and you're wondering, how much more can I take? You're trying to use the tools, you're listening to the podcast, you find yourself doing things and really thinking that you're doing the right thing. You think you're making progress. And then all of a sudden your partner says something to you and it's almost like you're not doing anything. And so you get so defeated, you get so helpless that you feel like, what's even the point? Maybe we just shouldn't be together. Maybe this is not the right PMDD partner for me. Maybe if I was with someone else, me using these tools would be better. So I know what it feels like to be spinning in your mind with this and really at that point where you don't know what else to do. And this is why I created the Stress-Free with PMDD Partner package to really get you to a place where you're having those private sessions to get to the root of the issues that you're having within your PMDD relationship. So I strongly suggest, if you have not booked your package, I know a lot of you have, and I've been working with you privately, and I look forward to all of the ones that are scheduled out because I can only take a limited amount of PMDD partners at a time so that I give you my undivided attention. But talking about the seasons in your PMDD relationship, I know a lot of times, especially looking on social media, I used to do this so many times where I was suffering in PMDD and I was looking at other couples and thinking, oh my goodness, they're so much better off than me. They're so much happier. They look so connected, especially we're going into the holiday season. And this is why I want to make sure that I let you know this before we get into the holidays, where you have, so many people posting with matching pajamas on with these picture perfect couples. And you're looking at these Hallmark movies, that it's just making it seem like you're just waiting for your knight in shining armor, or you're just in that place of really feeling like you want to be saved by someone that is other than your PMDD partner. This is when you start to compare and you're really thinking, should I just be with someone else? Should I just trade in my PMDD partner because I'm trying to push them and make them and force them to use the tools, to even maybe listen to my podcast, to read up and just learn more about PMDD so it can cause your relationship to, not you both to not suffer so much. And I know what that feels like, but I want you to know that it is natural to have seasons within your PMDD relationship. So you know how we're all cyclical, like we have a menstrual cycle, we have phases. If you follow me on Instagram, I literally vlog my life daily, whether I'm in PMDD, in my menstrual phase, in my ovulation phase. And I'm going to take a brief moment to address that because I've been getting so many DMs. And they're like, Dr. Rose, how do you track your cycle? Because I see you come on there and you're like, day one of PMDD. Does that mean that it's day one of your cycle? And that's not true. So I'm going to tell you right now, this is how I track my cycle. So I have approximately 14 days of PMDD, yay. And I go through my cycle like this. Day 1 through 7 is how long my menstrual cycle is. So I'll say day 1 menstrual cycle, day 2 menstrual cycle, right? Day 8 through 12 is about my follicular phase where I feel amazing. I got my energy back. I'm feeling super loving, patient, and kind. Then day 12 to about, I would say 12 to 16 is my ovulation. Those are my best days. Like I have my best days when I'm in ovulation. I know a lot of you have symptoms during ovulation, but I have my energy is flowing. My cortisol levels, my stress is really, really low. I'm feeling so loving. The libido is there, all of the things. And then I go straight into PMDD and I start counting my PMDD days. And I'll say day 1 of PMDD, day 2 of PMDD. And I do that because I know that I really have 14 days of PMDD. So I'm counting 1 of 14. But that is my specific way of tracking. I want you to find, if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, that's a lot, Dr. Rose, like that's a little bit too much for me. I tell private clients, if you want to count from day 1 to 28 or 1 to 30 or 31, please feel free to do that, whatever feels best for you. But I would strongly suggest that the basic thing that you're doing is tracking your cycle because you're going to be able to see, just like there's seasons in your PMDD relationship, there's seasons in you and how you are throughout the month. And if you're in that place of being okay with knowing that you're a cyclical being, knowing that you are affected different times in your cycle, your mood shifts at different times in your cycle, then you have to believe that about your PMDD relationship too. So many times we want our PMDD partners to understand that we're different in ovulation than we are in our luteal phase, than we are in our menstrual cycle, than we are in our follicular days. We want them to really, really understand that. That's one of the basic things that, a lot of private clients are like, how can I get my partner to understand that I'm not going to be the same all month long, that I'm going to shift and change and it's outside of my control? And I would say the best way to explain it to them is understanding that as you shift within your cycle, within your menstrual cycle, your relationship is going to shift into seasons. And I'm going to go over what those seasons look like. And you may think to yourself, I'm going through winter right now. So the first one that we're going to talk about is winter. And, I know there's some people that, my Frozen fans that are really like into the cold. That's like my daughter. She loves the cold. She loves to be like, every time we go for Christmas, she wants to go where there's snow and mountains. And I'm more so of like, can we go to the beach? And I want to be wearing sandals and, but it's all about perception, right? So she enjoys the snow and the cold because she loves to hibernate. She loves to be inside with cozy things on, fuzzy slippers, a nice robe, hot chocolate and all of these things. And someone can look at that same environment and say, oh my gosh, I'm freezing. I wish they could turn the heat up. So it's all about perception. And a lot of times it's the same way within your PMDD relationship. So when we're talking about the winter phase of your PMDD relationship, this phase is when you and your PMDD partner are cold and distant towards each other. You're barely speaking, and when you are speaking, you're being very bitter, you're being very resentful. And it's much like that hibernation period in the winter. Maybe you're just coexisting within the home, which I've seen so many times where you've passed the point of arguing. Have you gotten to a time in your PMDD relationship where you're not even arguing anymore? And I know a lot of times you may think that that's a good thing. A lot of my private clients used to come to me and like, I just need to stop arguing with my PMDD partner. And I always say, no, you don't. Because when you're arguing, you're showing effort. You're showing that you're there. You're showing that you're invested. And so I feel like when you get to that point where you're not willing to argue anymore, then you're in that place of really giving up in your PMDD relationship. So this is what I mean by cold and distant. Maybe you're just talking about the kids now. You're at the point where you're just talking logistics. Who's going to pick up the kids? What are you going to have for dinner? You're just saying good morning, good night. Another way that you'll know that you're in that winter phase of your relationship is when the intimacy dies out, like you're not connecting with your PMDD partner. There's very little emotion there. Even when you're out of PMDD, you may have good days, but you're not having good days with your PMDD partner. I know a lot of times this can even happen when you try to say, okay, we're gonna orchestrate this to happen. We're gonna have date night. How many times have you been on date night and still not had a date night because you're still not connecting with your PMDD partner? This happened to me recently where, oh my goodness, so many things happened. And I want you to join the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy because that's where I really go in depth with what's going on in my PMDD relationship every single week. And honestly, something goes on in my PMDD relationship daily. So when I have those check-ins every single week, I have so much to pour out into the students and so many lessons that I've learned and so many things that I'm just walking through. Sometimes where it feels like I'm running through, but I created that safe place to not just talk about what's going on in your PMDD relationship, but actually get tools and advice because everything that I go through in my PMDD relationship eventually becomes a tool, right? I test it, of course. I make sure that there's research that's backed behind it. I'm an expert researcher after I got my dissertation. If you haven't read it, by the way, go to the link in my bio on Instagram, In Love with PMDD, and you'll go to the first in my link tree. Go to the first link, and it is my PMDD partner's dissertation. It is 160 pages if you just feel like immersing yourself in PMDD as if you're not already living it. But there's so many tools that are in there. So when I know that I'm talking about research, everything that I tell you is backed by research. But I just know that when you're in that winter phase, you start to do things where you feel like it's going to help you, right? So the other night, me and my PMDD partner were not on the same page. He came home early from this work trip that he was on. He was supposed to be gone for 2 months. He was only gone for 1 month. And he basically told me that he was going to be coming home like the day of. And when I'm in PMDD, I really don't like my routine being disrupted. That's a trigger for me. It's really hard for me to adapt. It's really hard for me to function and shift and change things. And obviously, I did it for my PMDD partner, but it put me in a place where I was really on high alert. It caused me a lot of stress. It caused me a lot of anxiety. And we ended up it's actually the day that he came here was the same day that I was starting PMDD. So it was so crazy that the day before I was in ovulation and I was feeling amazing. I was feeling so in love. And he mentioned that he may come home. And I remember being so excited and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to see him early. This is so great. This is so great. So the perception of when I was like in my ovulation phase was everything's going to be great when he comes home. And then I literally woke up the next day in PMDD and bam, I was smack dab in the middle of winter. And what that meant was I was cold and distant and I wanted to isolate. And a lot of times when I'm in my luteal phase, I am wanting to isolate hard, bad, meaning I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm pretty much what he calls on autopilot. I'm high functioning, so I have a lot of things that I'm doing, but I'm doing them very robotically. There's not a lot of emotion that's going on behind the things that I'm doing. And for the other people in my life, that seems to work. Like when I'm at work, I'm very productive. I'm finishing products, I'm finishing, a lot of tasks that I've had on my to-do list. And so I'm very productive and it's very effective. When I'm with our daughter, I'm focusing a lot on her homework. I'm even taking her out to more outings and I'm having, that time with her, but she doesn't seem to mind me going internal because she's an only child. So she's doing her own thing while we're together. So she's not pulling for my emotional attention. The only one that actually suffers when I go internal in my winter phase is my PMDD partner. It literally hurts him when I shut down and I go internal, even if I'm being nice and loving. So I remember when he was here, I was saying good morning to him. I was saying good night. I was asking him, did he want food, and I was really going into the love languages, right? So this month, for the month of November, my birthday is November 29th, and I am doing a special for the month of November on the 5 love languages and how you could specifically use them with your PMDD partner to get what it is that you want, which is more support. One of the biggest questions that I'm always asked is, Dr. Rose, how do I get my PMDD partner to be more supportive? I'm going to be teaching you that for the month of November. Every single week, we're going to have a different lesson within the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. The link to join is in the show notes. So make sure that you join. Make sure that you join. And if you join for the month of November, you're going to be getting a free workbook that you're going to be able to take with you regarding the 5 love languages and your PMDD partner. This is not something that you can buy anywhere else. A lot of the products that I produce within the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy, yes, I could go sell them on Amazon, but I keep everything exclusive to the students that are in this academy. So the only way that you can have access to them and all of the prior workbooks and the trainings is to actually join and be a member of the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. And I'm always giving workbooks. I'm always giving tools. I know a lot of my private clients like to take notes during our sessions, and that's why I make it very accessible for you to just have tools that you can use, because it may be sometimes where you're listening and you're like, oh, what did Dr. Rose say? Like, I didn't remember that. Well, in the academy, a lot of the notes that I do on the trainings are provided for you. So you can really immerse yourself in just listening. I know a lot of you like to put in your headphones and really just listen to me while you're multitasking and doing other things. I know that you do it because I do it, right? I said that we're the same because whenever I literally probably have my headphones on from the time I wake up until like I go to sleep, because I'm always multitasking, and I get a lot of information as I'm moving and doing other things. So I could be folding laundry and listening. And something that I've really been doing the last couple of months, and I don't know if this is weird, but it's really been working for me. And that is listening to my own podcast. Now, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to be completely honest. I have, I think, 125 episodes by now. I very rarely listen to my episodes after the fact. I have a podcast producer. I have a whole team that does all of the audio and visual and all the things. Speaking of visual, I know I said it before, but I wasn't ready. But now I feel like I'm ready now that I'm done with my doctorate. I'm going to be on YouTube. So even this episode that you're listening to right now, if you want to see me, because that's like a new thing where a lot of times PMDD partners are getting value out of not just listening to me, but having that visual too, and even being able to write comments in the bottom, then make sure that you join my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see this. And sometimes I know for me, this is how I do visuals. So audio is a lot of times I put the headphones on, like I told you, and I'm walking around and I'm just listening to things, like things that are really, really helpful for me. I know that in other areas of my life, I'm specifically listening to a course that I enrolled in that is it is on raising a Generation Z child and how to get them to be motivated, right? So the way that I was motivated earlier in my time is not the same. I'm a millennial, and it's not the same as, our daughter, and she's 14. And so I'm feeling the need to kind of shift my parenting style in order to meet her needs. And so I'm, listening to that. So I put the headphones on and I'm walking around the house doing other things while I'm listening, or walking, our dog, and I'm doing other things and I'm hearing it and things are coming to me and it's really sinking in. But with this YouTube, a lot of times if I listen to anything on video, like in the Breakup Proof Academy, there's all videos too. But when you do it, it's a private Facebook group. So you can literally put your phone down somewhere and still, listen to me and give you the training and everything like that. But also there's a lot of interaction when we have these Facebook trainings, because you're able to just type in comments as I'm talking to you. And this is how the YouTube channel is really going to help you. So if you listen to the podcast, you can like sit down and take notes while you're watching me. So I'm just giving you a different way of, absorbing these tools and this information that's really, really going to help you, because I'm trying to ensure that I'm blending to everybody's, learning style. Some people learn best visually, some people learn best audible, which I am on Audible, by the way. But yeah, auditory, that's the word. Anyway, I just want you to join the YouTube, join the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. I love, love, love having those Monday. It's every Monday. You get a training that's released to you in the Breakup Proof Academy. Automatically, as soon as you wake up, whatever time zone that you're on, it's released to you. So you get that pre-recorded training. On Tuesdays within the Breakup Proof Academy, I have a live session where we're going over the tools. We're having a live Q&A, and I'm telling you how to basically use the tools specifically for your PMDD relationship. This is the value that you get in that. In this, and it's very small, it's very intimate. This is not one of those groups. It's not one of those groups where it's hundreds of thousands of people and you're going to get lost in there. I know every single student in the Breakup Proof Academy. I probably work with them privately, and I know a lot of them watch on the replay and we talk about some of the trainings that have happened, but I know when you're there and I know when you're not. So it's a level of accountability for you as well, where it's like, I'm committing to working on my PMDD relationship every single week with whatever it is that comes up for you. So this is your way of having that level of, when you're stressed out, you can go in there and literally look up a topic and find the tools on it. I don't want you to Google things. Because I've been there where I've Googled stuff, and Google's not research, right? Even going on these other private Facebook groups where people who are in PMDD are giving you opinions about PMDD, it's their opinion. It's not backed by research. It is also, you have to be very careful, because I've said some things when I'm in PMDD that I don't think that were necessarily helpful for other people when I was in that place of despair. And what I mean by that, I believe a lot of times on these private Facebook groups that the intention is to support. Obviously, these are support groups, but I want you to be very careful that you're not listening to someone that doesn't have your best interest as far as not breaking up with your PMDD partner. That's always like the basis for me. Like, that's Bible. The basis is, I'm giving you advice that's going to help you stay with your PMDD partner. Because we can always find a way out, especially going back to, our topic today, especially when you're in winter. When you're in winter and you're distant from your PMDD partner, you're not connecting. It's so easy to be in that point where you're just like, I don't even know if I should be here. And if someone says, you don't deserve that, you need to be single, you deserve better than that, like, run. There's so many PMDD sufferers that are just going to tell you to run. You're going to literally be putting on your sneakers. And again, I know it's because it's coming from a good place, which is why I never, I don't bash it, but I just say be very, very cautious, because when I'm in PMDD, and I'm pretty sure you're the same way, you can be very sensitive to the advice that you're receiving. If your intrusive thoughts are already telling you to break up with your PMDD partner, you do not need someone to agree with PMDD. Oh my gosh, let me get that on a t-shirt. You do not need someone else to agree with PMDD, because guess what? PMDD does not want you to be in a relationship. PMDD wants you to be very single, very alone, and it wants to literally make you feel like the only way that you're going to get peace in your life with PMDD is to be single. And I'm here to tell you, I had so many private clients that have come back to me after they've broken up. They're not at peace. And I'm not talking about the ones that have left abusive situations or any of that. I'm talking about, they got stressed out, they got overwhelmed because of the monthly cyclical issues that they were having within their PMDD relationship, and they decided to just pull the plug and end it. And they thought on the other side of that, my symptoms are better. I should just, I should have done this earlier. And I believe that there's a very short-lived sense of relief, right? We have this emotional, like, okay, I don't have to worry about a partner anymore. But then you go to do the things that you would have done with your partner and you say, oh, I don't have to worry about a partner anymore. There's a post that I did, actually that I saw on Instagram earlier, and it's like, picture this. You wake up in the morning, no one's checking on you. You go to eat, you're eating alone. You come home from work, you don't have to worry about anything. You're just doing whatever you want to do. You go out to eat, or you go on the weekend, you plan trips, you plan things, and it's just you, and you're able to choose whatever it is that you want to do. And then the question that they ask is this freedom or is this loneliness? And I thought that was so profound because it really has to do with perspective. A lot of times when you get into PMDD, you may be looking for freedom. I just want to be free from my PMDD partner. I want to be free from this relationship. I want to be free from stress. But on the flip side of that, you don't understand the loneliness that is involved in getting that quote unquote freedom. It's a very short-lived feeling of, oh, I'm free. I don't have to, worry about that. But there are things. Otherwise, you would have never been in a relationship. And I always say this, and I'm going to go into dating probably early next year. I'm going into dating. I'm creating something really special for you. And I'm really, really excited to talk to you about it because I know I've gotten um, so many messages that are like, you talk to us who are already in relationships, but what about dating? So I just want you to know, if you want something with dating, I got you, right? But yeah, some of you think that you really just want to be single, and there's this community of people that are supporting this single, find yourself and work on yourself and all of these things. And what I say to you is, and I know this from a practitioner point of view, I work on myself every single day, whether I want to or not. I'm consistently working on myself, personal development, different areas of my life, so many things I have going on. I don't have to be single in order for me to work on myself. Like, really, really think about the advice that you're getting. If people are telling you the only way to find yourself, the only way to really get to the root of who you are and to realign your chakras and all these things is to be single, it's not true. You can do it all. You can have it all. And I am here to provide you with the tools to do that. You do not have to break up with your PMDD partner just to work on yourself. So I'm debunking that myth. I'm not saying that, it's not going to be easier if you're single, but then what happens is you work on yourself, you feel whole again in a specific area, which is what me and my PMDD partner both did when we were heartbroken. We spent time. I spent 2 years single, working on myself and loving my single, living la vida loca life. And then you know what? I got whole, I got restored, and then I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted a partner. We are made for human connection. This is part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is not something, it's not an opinion. It is scientifically, we were made to be in relationships. We were made to connect to other people. We were not made to do life alone. And I know it's not, I'm not going to be super harsh and call it a cop out and say it's a cop out to say you're going to be single. But what I'm saying is, even in the midst of your suffering, you should not have to suffer alone. And that doesn't mean your PMDD partner suffering with you, but it does mean that you should have someone there to support you. You shouldn't be like, I'm curled up in the bed crying and there's nobody rubbing your back. There's nobody holding you. There's nobody going to the store for you and getting what it is that you need. Some of these posts that you do see, very few and far in between on these Facebook groups, they're posting pictures of their partners doing stuff for them. They're like, oh, I have a good PMDD partner. I'm sitting in the bed crying, curled up because I'm suffering in PMDD. And, my partner is bringing me snacks that I want, or my partner is asking me, what can I do for you, and all these things. And it's showing you that it's possible. But a lot of times the attention that a lot of these posts are getting are the ones that are telling you to run and leave. And that's all fine and good. But like, when you're in the bed at night, like, come on, like you can prop up all the pillows that you want. I always say, specifically for me, if you go back and listen to my episode about the magic pill for your PMDD relationship, I always reference that because when I'm in ovulation, I am craving emotional connection, craving intimacy. Biologically, my body is wanting to connect, and that's not going anywhere. Whether I have a PMDD partner or not, I'm chemically drawn to connecting, right? Like, I feel it's like it's a very feminine, like sexy feeling in my body where I just feel like I just want to connect and I want to lean in and I want to hug and kiss and do all those other yummy things. And I want my partner to do that with. I don't want to be in that place where my body is literally like, connect, connect, connect. And I'm like, I have nobody to connect with, right? Like, I don't want that. And I don't want to just, and the connection is not just with anyone, it is with your person. So I want you to really think about when you're going through this winter phase in your PMDD relationship and you're feeling cold and you're feeling distance, there's a way, it's just a season. So that's the first thing that I want you to know. It is just a season and it's just temporary, just like PMDD is a season and it's temporary. So you can experience this decreased intimacy and, problems in your PMDD relationship, but a season doesn't last. A season in your PMDD relationship does not last. I don't want you to get into this level of finality of where you're feeling like, oh, I'm in winter and it's always going to be like this. That's one of the things that is the most damaging, but it's something that is so common for us as PMDD sufferers. Like it's always like, I'm always thinking when I'm suffering, like it's always going to be like this. Every single month, it's going to be like this. Every single month. And it's like, that's not true. It's like this right now, but that doesn't mean the next month is going to be completely different. It could. It really, really could. But when you're in winter and you're cold and you're distant and the intimacy is fading, I want you to be in a place of doing something about it. If you just stay in winter, it's almost like being in winter and not putting a coat on. Yes, you can sit there and recognize that it's cold, but you know what happens in winter? You put on additional layers to keep yourself from freezing. So if you're thinking about your PMDD relationship, you need to put on additional layers that are going to get you back to that place where you're warm and connected with your PMDD partner. What are those additional layers that I'm talking about? It is the tools for your PMDD relationship. It is the tools for you connecting. This is why I provide them for you. I say, get the Stress-Free with PMDD Partners package. Get that package to have those private sessions. That's another layer for your PMDD relationship. Join the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy. It's another layer. It means that you're doing something about the freezing instead of just sitting there and freeze. So if you're in that relationship and you're emotionally distant and you're not connecting, if you do nothing, you're going to stay disconnected. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't change anything within your PMDD relationship, nothing is going to miraculously change. You're going to be in winter for a very long time. And I believe that we have the power, PMDD takes away so many things from us, but we really do have the power to shift and maneuver the seasons that we're going through. So just because you're in winter today doesn't mean that you can't be in spring or summer and fall, tomorrow. You don't have to wait the whole 2 weeks. There's been times that I've gone on, like I said, the other night we had date night and it was horrible. It was horrible because we were just sitting there awkward. It was just bad. Because we didn't agree on, I didn't tell you what happened. We didn't agree on something where he was saying that, what was he saying? He was saying that he was going through something and he wasn't taking accountability or responsibility, I felt. So we were at an impasse, whereas he was wanting a lot of support and he was venting. And I was pretty much in a space of like, no, like this isn't something that just happened to you. You actually took part in it. And there was a level of responsibility that I feel like he needs to have, because whenever you're growing, you really have to get to a place of taking accountability. And so we kind of got to that place where he was like, I'm just wanting to vent to you. And he was wanting me to just be supportive. Whereas I was really like, well, no, you need to like take accountability. So we sat there at dinner because we realized we were now in winter. Like I could have held up the sign like we're in winter, because we were just sitting there. We were emotionally distant. It was so uncomfortable. I know the people in the restaurant, because they were like, do you need anything? And we're like, no, it's fine. But the next day he bought me the most beautiful card. We had a great day with our daughter. We went out again and we had an amazing time. So our winter only lasted for a day. So I was in PMDD, and when you're not in PMDD, just know that if you feel like we're in winter, like if you're like looking at your partner and you're just really, you both are just recognizing it, like now I see what Dr. Rose is talking about, like we're in winter, babe. The first thing is accepting it and understanding that I am committed to you through all of the seasons in this PMDD relationship. Meaning just because I'm in winter doesn't mean I'm throwing away my partner. I'm just admitting like we are in winter and it's not good. It's not looking good over here. And it's kind of like, then you get out of that place of trying to deny it, right? Because when you're in denial and you're trying to pretend like everything's fine, which is a lot of times what people do as coping mechanisms, they try to act like everything's okay when it's really not okay. They try to get to those points of like, I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine. I had, private clients do this all the time. Like, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. And then you're You're breaking down, crying because you're not. And I always say, tell me, be open with me. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to tell me that everything's great. I told this just 2 days ago to my PMDD partner. I was like, I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be kind, to be loving, to be supportive, but I don't need you to be perfect and tell me that you don't have any issues with me when I know that you do. You can feel the vibe of your partner. You know when they're not feeling you or that they have an issue with you. So don't deny it. Don't be in denial. Just accept that you're in winter. So then the next step is you can do something about it. And I want you to understand in winter, you're not happy. Okay? You're not happy when you're in winter. You don't have to force yourself to be happy about being in winter. Because if you think of winter like I do, like winter sucks for some people. Winter sucks. For some people, they thrive in winter. They thrive through challenges in their PMDD relationship because it brings them closer. It's like we're going through issues and we're working through things, and I've literally seen private clients become so close and so connected through their winter. And I commend them for that. And I think, wow, that's amazing. And I admire them because that's not the case for me. My PMDD partner does not like winter. He does not thrive when things are not going good for us, and that's fine. But it's a matter of we are still committed through every single season because what is that saying? It's like if you can't take me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. Meaning, if you can't love me through winter, then you don't deserve me in summer, which is ovulation, where you're feeling amazing and you're having energy and you're connected. All those things, all of those things. And so, through this series that I'm doing for the month, I would say the month of November. I'm going to go ahead and do this through the month of November. I'm going to talk to you about the seasons. So today we're just talking about winter. Next week, I'll talk to you probably about fall because I have something for you there. But yeah, but just you're not going to be happy in winter and you don't have to force it. Take the pressure off of feeling like you have to be a certain way. And don't set unrealistic expectations in your relationship. It's going to cause you to suffer. If you're suffering and you're trying to force yourself to be happy when you're not, like just accept that I'm not happy. Accept that you're not happy. And don't feel like you have to be a certain way with your PMDD partner. I also want you to understand that you can have good days with your PMDD partner when you're in luteal, and you can have days that are filled with hell when you're in follicular. And I want you to really think about that. And what I mean is that your luteal and your follicular phase. So for you that is just learning, luteal means PMDD. Your follicular days are your good days. You can have a good day with your PMDD partner while you're suffering in PMDD. It is possible. Every day that you're in PMDD doesn't mean that you're in winter and you're suffering, not with your partner. Because if you're going through hell with your symptoms, but your partner is being there and being supportive and showing love to you, guess what? You have a good day with your PMDD partner, even though you're in PMDD. And if you are in winter, the biggest takeaway that I want you to really understand, if anything else that I've said hasn't really sunk in for you, I want you to remember this. Don't let your bad times with your PMDD partner in winter make you bitter. Don't let your winter make you bitter towards your PMDD partner. Don't let those days that you've gone through arguing and fighting and feeling really not connected and feeling like your needs are not met and all of those things, and if you listen, we've all been bitter, we've all been there. I want you to recognize if you're in that place where you're like, oh, too late, Dr. Rose, I'm already bitter. It's already happened. Like I have so many months of traumatic things that my PMDD partner has said to me, traumatic fights that we've gone through. You know, we broke things in the house. We've talked bad about each other. We've called each other names. We've gone through all of this. So it's pretty much the advice that you're saying it's too late. If you know that it's too late, then you need to understand that you need to heal that bitterness and resentment before you can move on with your PMDD partner without continuing to suffer. So if you're wondering, why do we keep suffering? Why are we? Because somebody's bitter or the both of you are bitter. And that's why. That's why you're continuously suffering. That's why you can't go a month without, getting into winter and feeling like winter is taking up your whole month. I know a lot of you are feeling like we used to have, more good days, and now it seems like we don't have any good days. It's because there's some bitterness and there's some resentment and some issues that you need to really heal from and work through. And I know that you're thinking, how do I heal? How do I heal? I'm giving you the tools right now. I want you to go to the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy, start that accountability week by week, because what that's going to allow you to do, that's the first step, is you're addressing issues as they come up. You're not burying them. There's a reason why we meet weekly. It's because I know something happened in your PMDD relationship. And this is your place to get it out. Because when you're in that place of addressing the issue that you have weekly, then there's not a buildup. Have you ever dealt with a situation where your toilet is clogged or your hair got down the drain in the, thing? What does the plumber have to do? He has to take it apart, get all of that gunk out, take it completely out, extract it, and then clear it out, or put some of that stuff down there, that Drano, that just takes all the gunk off of the side of the pipes to get it to run smoothly again. If you want water to go down your drain, meaning if you want your relationships to flow again, you have to extract whatever it is that's blocking it. And a lot of the things that's blocking it is that bitterness and resentment that you have towards your PMDD partner. And this is what happens in our private sessions, is we're getting rid of the gunk. We are getting rid of the gunk in your PMDD relationship. And a lot of it is buildup. And it's buildup not just for days, not just for weeks. Sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years. But you're going to get to a place, you know what happens when you don't get that stuff out and you keep pouring water on it, your relationship keeps going month after month after month. You get to a point where there's no water going down it anymore. Now all of a sudden it's stopped up. What that means is when you're in winter and nothing is flowing, nothing is right. It seems like every single time you speak to your PMDD partner, it's becoming a fight. Every single you talk to them, every single time, even if you have the best intentions, you interact with them and it's either nothing there, or the things that is there, it's damaging. That's when you know that your relationship is backed up. And that's when you know, okay, hey, what do people do when they try to put the Drano down the drain and it's still not working, and they try to get, a hanger or something to get the hair out or whatever is clogging it up down there? What do they do when they feel like they're at their wits' end and they're like, I don't know what else to do? They call for help. They call for a plumber. I am your PMDD partner plumber, right? I'm the person that's going to help you get through the gunk in a way that's really going to have you being connected again. But you have to reach out to get it. It's not going to come to you. No one comes in your house and just goes and cleans out your pipes down there without you calling and asking for help. And you're not meant to be a plumber. I know a lot of times you may beat yourself up and say, oh, I should be able to do this on my own. Can you do electrical work too? Can you do plumbing that's not your specialty. You're not meant to do it by yourself. So I don't want you to feel bad about reaching out and getting help. That's why we're here. That's why I'm counseling you. That's why I got my doctorate. It's not because you're meant to just solve it on your own. You're going to exhaust yourself just like you would if you were trying to unclog a toilet or a drain. It's like, you could sit there and try to fix it yourself like you've been doing, and going to Google University and all of these things, and sit there and try this and try this and try this, and it not work, or it worked for a little bit, but it's not sustainable. Like all of these things, I've been there too, where I'm like, oh, this works. And then the next time it doesn't work, because your relationship is very cyclical. It's consistently training. You need new, fresh tools. So it's kind of like feeding the meter. You got to keep feeding the meter. And you will exhaust yourself and burn out and think this is where you get stressed out and you're like, oh, forget it. It's like, no, just not all forget it. Just get the help that you need. And that is why I'm here. So if you're not taking advantage of my tools, if you're not in the PMDD Partners Breakup Proof Academy, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Especially if you've been listening to me for a while. If you've been listening to this podcast, I have 125, what did I say, 125 episodes. If you've been listening for a while, it's time for some of you to go to the next level. Or if you just started listening to me and you're like, I know that you know what it is that's going on in my PMDD relationship. I know that you get me, you hear what's going on. And I know that you're going to be the person that's going to be able to help me, but you're just not in that place of taking the step. Take the step. What did I say? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I will see you next week. See you on the YouTube, and make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this video. If you are listening to me on any of your podcast platforms, please continue to share this with other PMDD partners. A lot of times, PMDD partners are only finding me because you're sharing something. So you remember what it felt like before you found me and before you were able to listen to this and be like, oh, I'm getting tools. You know what it felt like to be lost in the sauce when it comes to PMDD relationships. You know how unwell known PMDD is. So I want you to pay it forward. If this podcast has been helpful to you, write me a review, right? I want you to write a review because that's the way that other PMDD partners can find me. And then also share this episode with someone that you know is probably going through a winter season in their PMDD relationship. And this is really going to help them to not give up, to not break up. We got this. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.